Hey everybody, Frank Sapsky here, the Polish Pizzaiolo, 23% Italian, member of the Pizza Gavones. We review the pizza, the place, and the personality. And remember, all our reviews are oven fresh pies, never anything out of a box. Today's video is going to be about how to make New Haven style pizza, or apizza as we call it in New Haven, sauce. We've got a part 1 video which is all about how to make New Haven style pizza dough, and a part 2 video of how to take that dough from the proofing container onto your plate. I highly recommend that you guys check it out. We're going to have links in the bottom of the description. Stay tuned because I think you're going to like what we got for you. A couple quick things before we get going. Number 1 is New Haven style pizza sauce is not cooked. I know that it's cooked in other places around the country, around the world, but it's not cooked in New Haven. Number 2 is everyone tries to think that there's a secret recipe or a secret sauce, or they try to complicate things. And quite honestly, it's real simple. So one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to talk about tomato cans, believe it or not. There's 2 kinds of cans, or 2 kinds of ways you can buy tomatoes. One is this, what I call consumer version, 28-ounce can of tomatoes. The next thing I want to do is talk about a number 10 can. This is about 128 ounces, and you'll find this in most restaurants and pizzerias. You get this over the internet, and if you have a local, wholesale, commercial restaurant supplies. So for New Haven pizza, there's 2 types of tomatoes. One is a peeled whole tomato, and 2 is a ground tomato. And the only difference between the 2 is the ground tomato is already milled or crushed, and the peeled tomato you have to mill or crush. And we're going to get into that soon. I'm going to go over now what you're going to need to make this sauce. The first thing is a bunch of 6-quart Cambro containers. You certainly can use anything that you have in your kitchen, but these really make things easy. Next thing is going to be a ladle. This is a 6-ounce ladle. You could probably get this anywhere, but this is what I use on my apizza. You're going to need a bunch of these 28-ounce cans, or like I told you before, a number 10 can makes life a lot easier. If you can get it locally, that's great. Next thing you're going to need is a food mill. This food mill is about 75 bucks, and it comes with 3 grates. There's a large grate, which you can see here. There's a medium grate, and there's a small grate. Take these 2 grates, throw them in the trash. Oregano, we're going to need some oregano for the sauce. Fine sea salt, we're going to need some fine sea salt. This is what I call the magic ingredient of the sauce. Can opener, teaspoon, to make sure that we properly measure the oregano and the salt going in. Guys, the sauce is pretty simple. It's the tomatoes of your choice, it's sea salt, and it's oregano. We're going to start with the ground tomato recipe first. And honestly, it can't be any simpler because the tomatoes are already pre-ground. So we're going to open up our can, we're going to put some salt, some oregano, and we're going to stir it up, and we're done. Option number 2, take the can of whole tomatoes, and we're going to put them in the mill, and we're going to grind them up. I actually tend to like that better than the ground tomatoes, but that's just me. A little birdie told me that there's a famous place on Wooster Street in New Haven that might use these tomatoes. These are the ground tomatoes, and we're going to show you how these work. Okay guys, here we go. We're going to do this recipe for the ground tomatoes. It's real simple. 3 teaspoons of fine sea salt, 1 1/4 teaspoons of oregano, and a number 10 can of ground tomatoes. Ooh, baby. Come on now. We're going to take our ladle, do a little stirring, a little nice and nice. I'm going to get that salt and oregano from the bottom. We're going to bring it to the top, do a little swirly swirl, and we're all good. Here's what we got, guys. Okay guys, next recipe is going to be using that 28-ounce can of tomatoes that you can get in your grocery store. I had a bunch of questions about this, and I want to go over them in detail. How do you drain them or strain them? And also, can you use a food processor? Can you use a blender? Can you use an immersion tool? You can use whatever you want, but traditionally in New Haven, for New Haven style of beets, you're going to want to use a mill. You could also hand crush them. But the reason why I like to use the mill is the thing that causes the least amount of seed breakage. And a lot of times when you put it in a food processor or anything that's a high speed, you're going to crush those seeds, and the seeds have acid in them, and it's going to make your sauce a little bit sour. So here's our 28-ounce can of tomatoes, and there's a couple ways to do this. It depends really on the thickness that you like your sauce. So I'm going to show you the process of how I would recommend you do it. As you can see, what I did was I took the top off, but I left about probably a ½ an inch of metal in the back, and I use this kind of as a strainer. So what I do is I use my 2 fingers and I let the juice in here strain out. The other way to do this is to simply take your hands, take them from the can, and put them in the mill, which is what we're going to do right now. Oh man, these things smell so nice. It's like nature's candy. This is what we're left with, guys, in the can. You can add this if you want to make your sauce a little bit more on the watery side. So now we're going to mill these tomatoes up. Do a little shake. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our sea salt. This is 1 tablespoon of sea salt. Then we're going to add our oregano. This is a 1/4 teaspoon of oregano. We're going to take our ladle, mix it up, nice and nice. Okay, everyone, there you have it. I made it as simple as I possibly can. Remember, it's 3 ingredients. It's the tomatoes, it's the salt, it's the oregano. You got ground tomatoes or whole peeled tomatoes. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I answer everything on YouTube channel. Also, we have an incredible growing Facebook group called All About New Haven Style of Beats. Definitely go there, become a member. We got a lot of people really all over the world making their own pizzas from these videos, and it's a lot of fun. And I really appreciate if you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much, and again, I appreciate it.